Всем привет! Сегодня играем в новую игрушку. Недавно вышла Divinity Original Sin 2. Надеюсь, я правильно сказал. Так, мы в главном меню. Давайте поиграем. Хочу пожалуйста. Гном, эльф, человек, ящер. Те же самые, только нежить. Персонажи с историей. Нафиг на персонаж с историей, давайте играть своего. Эльфы, колдуны. За ящерку поиграй. Может. Давайте за человека. Приз. Прическа. Бородач.
Try again. Greet the Reaper for me.
Волшебник, чернокнижник, странник, клинок тени, вор, следопыт, метаморф, рыцарь. А-ля Капитан Америка. Вот так. ваше происхождение. Пусть будет. Сюда ланчик будет. Да.
It all happened like I knew it would.
Ведьма.
A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead I became part of their story.
So it wasn't a dream after all.
Так. Сейчас настройщик.
I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
Ah, you're up. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not a worry. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it, see? The collar's function. It neuters you, of sorts. Makes you unable to cast source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
Good gods. There's been a murder here.
Behind the Magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. You surprised? You're one of them. You know what sorcerers are capable of? Whoever did this found a way around their collar and killed a man. Small ones this time, thank the gods. We'll find out who did it.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
I forgot how to sing. I did. Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this loser woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deaf. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refused— What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
Your Majesty, maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your...
Name?
Don't you get saucy with me. Clearly don't know.
Well, you aren't here on my list. Scram, eh? We're trying to...
Ну ладно, ладно. Лови убийцу дальше. Сыщик.
It was you one of them? A divine order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but...
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard, he raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't...
Listen up, boy. You hear that? The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling.
And?
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with him.
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger. It's...
He cocks his ear to the other side, then...
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that. Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great pull...
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I
It's the wheel, don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're hit. Pardon my beard. That means if we've been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
That right? I always knew you'd turn up rotten Ben Nest.
Жрать охота.
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the Joy. Close to what lies...
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
That right? I always knew you'd turn up rotten Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
My, we are fierce, aren't we? Not to worry. I'll soon remedy that. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Oh, goodness, no. And don't even mention the demon. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic. A bag is as on then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after, just as I thought. So, 3 questions asked, 3... As per your own testimony, you have the taste buds of a dung beetle, the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit, and your personal... That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry. You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for...
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots, and meanwhile the Magisters feast on honey...
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us.
О, штаны. Давайте штаны. Ура!
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of
Snake eyes.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice, deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile.
Never say never, though.
She smiles contemptuously.
Just a kitten in a corner.
It was one of them. I know it.
Там шлем ведро.
Put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months...
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. Ifan seems amused at the gesture, but he bats your arm down from the salute when the Magister sees...
You served? Don't blame you. Enough bad blood on this ship already. Nice to meet another pair of boots, anyway.
He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate... Ifan grins, flashing pointed white...
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't...
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow.
What are you conspiring about over there?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back.
Away with you.
Oh. Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he...
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce?
Keep with those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
Murder most foul, and I strongly suspect you know all about
more
it.
appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far?
He tugs the collar of his uniform and chuckles.
Sorry you're upset, sir, but we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now. Williams...
Keep with those bolts trained on her.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking Magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head, and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale.
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
400 опыта. Похлебка, ветчина, бутылка. Все это денег стоит, да? Ничего стоит. Это возьмем. Это возьмем. Я, конечно, не знаю, насколько 8. Так, вот, кстати. Чё нет? А, щит. Ладно. Оружие. Так, что там дали нам? 6, 8. Ну, дешевая, от кого подать? Нож на палке. Окей. Палки, так может на палке. Ну ладно, не важно. ХПшки пока полные, пошли еще. Да. Ну, привычки игра как будто в Dragon Age. Журнал. Продание предметов. Пошли.
The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. He is stock still, You can't. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but the dwarf lies in a heap on the floor.
Oh! What? What happened? Must have been the turnips. You dare strike a...
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into a...
Так, ладно, тут все без сознания, да? Говорил.
Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. Under his shaggy hair, you can see green eyes fluttering. His eyes flicker open, but he doesn't register.
Lucian?
Ifan cries out. Then his eyes fall closed.
Понятно, никому я не могу это.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
It's no use. Your words...
The dice roll darkly.
Так, сколько у вас склонит еще?
The Magister lies on the floor,
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters. Damn, that doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards. By divine grace, what would...
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer!
The Magister's companion doesn't blink, frozen in place at the sight of you.
Так.
Even if I knew how to rip that thing off, I wouldn't. Some crazy banshee comes screaming through.
He whispers loudly to the other.
Don't just cower there, Rix. Take out...
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand.
Получится, не получится. Право.
The Magisters look to each other. Then...
Your lies...
Так, что у нас тут? Так, простая атака, сокрушающий удар, могучий удар. Сбивает с ног. Один ход. Раз вообще там. Калечь там же. А, да, Капитан Америка, ёпта. Ох ты. И хер. Кавалерия называется. Готов. Battle for every battle.
And you thought Rivellon was flat?
Со временем.
Through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous insight.
No. What damn fools record no— It catches fire, it turns into must when wet,
The skeleton looks up.
Oh. Yes? Shouldn't you be running or screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and...
I know your god did not gift you. Do you look at me and think, why yes, there is someone with organs enough to drown? Trifling matters like water and poison do not concern me. No, damp robes are the most I have to fear. Once this glorified skiff hits the sea floor, I will simply walk to shore. Whereas you, I believe, have lifeboats to pointlessly squabble over. I believe you did. Although I was wearing... I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed, just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his bid. I would say good day, but it seems quite...
The skeleton shrugs casually.
Great gods! Something's pounding on the hull! Wreck, and quick!
Даже хпшку потерял.
Lifeboat. That means there's still a chance.
Shut your trap, kid. Children and dwarves first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes.
You said there were other people down there.
Well, you see those tentacles, kid? It's time to get the hell out of here.
Thank you! There's a ladder right over there.
You're gonna be the death of us.
Wait! Void Woken!
I thought Void Woken was supposed to be scary.
I've faced worse.
Let the games begin.
Glory is mine.
They who are about to triumph.
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
О, мой ход. Первый раз.
I hear something. It's Magister Siwan. You want to put on this damn collar. Sounds like she
tries to speak, but can only gape as she clutches her neck, trying to... With jagged movements, she raises her clenched fist, and blood quickly soaks through the cloth. It's working. The pressure is stemming the flow of blood. Siwan clutches your arm, her eyes... Something within the ship snaps. The floorboards shudder. Siwan struggles to her feet, clinging to you tightly. The ship...
It's ripping the ship apart! This is it! She's going down!
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Ой, Господь Боженька, спас нас!
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
Those Voidwoken made short bloody work of the ship. Am I the lone survivor? This must be Fort Joy.
The child has a small mirror in his hand.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers.
Так, 48 плюс 58. Спрашиваю. А ты гонишь, блин, сучёныш. А, вот так это работает. Ух. Так, ну, это еще не нужно. Yes.
Why? But... Are you a sorcerer? One of those...
The child screws up his face and looks at you hard.
I don't see any source on you or me. I guess they're wrong. Maybe you're right, but you didn't die. There isn't anywhere safe. You'll see.
Voidwoken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn, they'd made it to shore.
Come on, bitches.
You. I know you.
Съешь.
We're supposed to keep those things at bay. Drowned and eaten by a Voidwoken. I wonder in which order.
You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist.
Yes, I imagine you do. You're made of sterner stuff than I first gave you credit for. Chances are I wouldn't have survived the shipwreck had you not returned to the aid of your fellow passengers. You have my gratitude.
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
Yes, I'm sure you've all the makings of a hero. Now then, if there's nothing further. I'm sure I don't mean to sound condescending, but...
He sighs,
Tell me, what do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? Memories?
He looks out over the water once more, and so do...
As for myself, when I see continents dotted with mighty cities, and shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that Of course, it's rather specific. Quite obviously, I'm mute.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended.
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. Or do you really... Oh, I am the Red Prince. Of course you know.
There's a brief moment's pause.
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in the grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. This and that, on the other hand, fine. On what? For reasons I'll not disclose. I've reason to believe one of them may be present. You do tend to... So, now that even if you are, as a born fighter, I prefer the perfection of the blade myself. But I'm well acquainted with the secrets of magic, and finesse is a condition one should assume in any situation, from dining to discourse to dueling. What situations do you have in mind? Very well. Onwards then to...
The Red Prince nods and gives you a smile.
Now, as you're aware, you'll be traveling with a prince. As your luck would have it, of course there are other forms of protocol. A black cat. A herald of wisdom in my homeland. How fortuitous. I've spotted something.
The cat's eyes are clouded and grey, its eyes clear.
Wonder where this leads.
As the alcove opens up, you see the same skeleton that you met on the boat before it sank. He's still not wearing his mask. He's leaning over a corpse, prodding and pulling at the bugger.
How on earth am I supposed to... Oh.
Skeletal fingers reach down and grip the skin of the dead man's face, pulling sharply upwards. After a few more tugs at the man's...
Damnation! That stuck fast. I wonder, does the beard act as some... Ah! No! Stay back! Don't... Oh, it's you. I must admit I'm surprised. Perhaps you're more buoyant than I suspected. Oh, yes. An exceptionally common, but exceptionally valuable a face that seems rather stubbornly attached to his skull. I would normally employ a tool to delicately, but viciously, rip the... I could then craft a mask to hide my bone.
The skeleton grabs the corpse by the cheeks and pulls hard, grunting in frustration as the body's skin holds firm.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I cannot simply sit about waiting for the rest of you to die so I may continue my business in peace. Indeed, I may be the only Eternal. At least from this realm. As for the others, well, there is an excavation site at the Black Pit's oil fields. Perhaps there I'll find my answers. A cult? Hardly. We were a race that existed before the idea of race was needed. We were all one. I could ask you to imagine an Eternal as a creature of incredible intelligence and skill. We studied the mysteries of the universe. We created works of great art, but I will find them. Wherever they are, I will find... Well, that hardly seems relevant. But if you must... Several centuries, in fact. Or perhaps millennia. I was sealed in a tomb for daring to be curious about the world. It seems our king... Perhaps I should thank him. It seems I was spared whatever happened to the others. I wonder if flowers would be appropriate. Ah, well, that is the curious thing. They are clearly absent from this world, and yet they are everywhere. Every one of your races resembles them in some manner, and the statues you have built to your gods look remarkably familiar. Perhaps my people have ascended to some new realm. Regardless, they are not here. But I will find them. I suppose, Circumstances being what they are, you seem more at ease in this world than I. A guide would... Excellent. While we are conversing, perhaps you notice that I am rather... Of course, the arcane arts are my little speciality, but being a brilliant wizard does not mean I cannot handle blade or bow. So, which do you require for this enterprise of yours? I could do that with one hand behind my spine. Now, shall we? Splendid. Very well. Let...
What's this? I found something. I don't have the right tool for digging.
One must put in due effort if one is to reap the proper reward.
Чья-то внучка. Так. Часок поиграли и хватит. Медленная тактическая стратегия, так что ладно, всем пока, до следующего раунда.